Alright team, here's your warm-up for the next 66 days. Big things to remember here is we're going to move into these positions for about 60 seconds apiece, and those that we're moving both sides, we're going to do those for 30 seconds each side. Okay, so starting in that quadruped position, toes pulled underneath ourselves, pulling back into the movement. Now, things to remember here, using the arms, pulling back into that squat position, and then toes pulled underneath ourselves. So we're going to be here for 60 seconds, and we're simply going to roll into a reach once we have completed that. So hand behind the back or behind the head, up to you where your position wants to be, and we're simply opening up that rib cage all the way to the roof. So our eyes lead the movement, and we're getting as far around as we can for 30 seconds this side, and then 30 seconds this side. Okay, so from there we're going to bust into a frog stretch. So knees come out, you should be resting on the inside of those knees, down onto the elbows, and you should see hip in line with the knee. Now we're simply going to internally rotate that leg, lifting the foot up off the floor, and we're going to be here for 30 seconds, trying to increase that range on internal rotation. So 30 seconds this side, 30 seconds this side. Following that, we're going to jump up into the push-up position for scap setting drills. The idea is to push those shoulder blades as high as we can to the roof, and then sucking them down to the floor, pinching your shoulder blades together. Points to note here is maintaining that nice strong push-up position, and then setting those shoulders at that bottom position. So 60 seconds here, simply lowering and raising through the shoulder blades only. Elbows shouldn't bend. You can help keep those elbows locked by tensing your tricep. So from there, we're simply going to bring the leg up now into a lunging hip activation. So using the spare arm, dropping the elbow to the floor, and then opening up the rib cage, kind of like our reach we did earlier. So 30 seconds on this side, switching positions, 30 seconds on this side. Once we complete that 30 and 30, we're going to roll into just hip prying here. So in the bottom of our squat position, nice and tall through the chest, we're simply going to rotate into position without our feet leaving the ground. So we should be turning into the ankle joint and warming those hips up at the same time. We can increase the range or increase the difficulty of the movement by simply jamming the elbow in, driving the hand out. So that's our hip prying sequence there. So 30 seconds each side, working that range once again on the internal rotation. Alright, so from our hip prying, we're going to roll into Hindu push-ups. Now the trick with our Hindu push-ups is being able to maintain the movement without fatiguing overly bad whilst we're doing it. So the way we can regress this movement is either by going to an elevated surface with our hands on something, or simply dropping to our knees throughout the Hindu movement. Okay, so we're going to be in that push-up position, and we're simply going to be pushing our bum into the air, into that downward dog position, and we're swooping through, back up into the push-up position. The idea is to get our chest as low as we can to the ground, and controlling that swoop through the movement. So we're simply going to be there for 60 seconds, rolling through our Hindu push-ups. Alright, so from our Hindus, we're going to roll into Cossack squats now. From Cossack squats, feet double shoulder width apart, or you might need to tweak that position a little bit. And remembering, once we're in the bottom of the movement, you can use your hands to stabilise as you go if you're struggling for balance. Okay, so we're simply going to shift our weight onto one leg, and we're going to sit down as deep as we can in that position. If your depth is only hip in line with the knee, that's okay, and we're simply going to shift our weight onto the other side. So as we warm into it, you should feel a bit more comfortable to get a bit deeper in the movement. Toes should be pulled back, legs should open up as we shift over to each side. So you're going to be moving through this movement for 60 seconds apiece. Final one we have is our single leg deadlift. Now these are often done really poorly, so I'm going to show you a couple of regressions you can do to help the movement, and you can build it in as you go. So starting feet together, our first stage of our single leg deadlift is actually planting a foot behind, toe in line with heel. So our feet should be approximately just shoulder width apart here, and we're simply loading our bum to the wall behind us, dropping our chest. So you should feel that load through that front leg on the hamstring. And we're simply driving up through our glutes into position like so. Once we work 30 seconds there, we can switch it over and work that other side. So load through that front leg, through the hamstring, driving glute out to the top. The other stage here is now sitting back into the movement and driving up to the top. Okay, so we have our leg leaving the ground now, which should help challenge stability, driving up into that top position and moving through there. If you do have some weights at home, you can add weights in each hand to help increase the difficulty of your movement, but starting in that split stance, if you struggle for balance, loading that hamstring up on that front leg. There's your warm-up team. Enjoy.